Kunda Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhan Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhan Dhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banam Chari Jamuna Tira Vanam Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhan Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhan Dhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Pri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Shri Bhai Charanaravinda Bhakti Raghava Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandaviti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Shri Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Daini Thaigora Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada Ki. Om Ajnanatirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Taksurandiritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaisnavam Scha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kantana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpatribhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Narayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayasabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and a loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Sloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Granthara, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva, It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Sri Advaita
Shri
Gadadhar,
Advaita Gadadhar,
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Sarabhyai Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyai
Om
Namaha.
Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyai Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class, reading from Canto number 1, chapter 11, entitled Lord Kṛṣṇa's entrance into Dvārakā, and today text number 2035. 35. Yes. Sa Esha Nara Loke Smin Avatirnaha Sva Mayaya Reme Stri Ratna Kutasto Bhagavan Prakrito Yatha Saesha Naralokesmin Avatirna Swamayaya Reme Stri Ratna Kutasto Bhagavan Prakrito Yatha Saesha Naralokesmin Avatirna Swamayaya Reme Stri Ratna Kutasto Bhagavan Prakrito Yatha Saesha Naralokesmin Avatirna Swamayaya Swamayaya Reme Stri Ratna Kutasto Bhagavan Prakrito Yatha Sa Esha Naralokesmin Avatirna Swamayaya Reme Stri Ratna Kutasto Bhagavan Prakrito Yatha Saesha Naralokesmin Avatirna Swamayaya
Bhagavan Prakrito Yatha
Saesha Naralokesmin Avatirnaha Swamayaya Reme Stri Ratna कुटस्थो
Deme Sri Radha Kṛṣṇa
भगवान् प्राकृतो यथा
Bhagavan Prakrito Yata
सयेषा नरलोकेऽस्मिन्
Saesha Naralokesmin
अवतीर्णा स्वमायया
Avatirna Swamayaya
प्रेमे श्रीरत्नकुटस्थो
Reme Sri Ratnakutasto
भगवान् प्रकृतो यथा
Bhagavan Prakrito Yata
Saisa Naralokesmin
सयेषा नरलोकेऽस्मिन्
Avatirna Swamayaya
अवतीर्णः स्वमायया
Seme Sri Radha Kṛṣṇa
प्रेमे श्रीरत्नकुटस्थो
Bhagavan Prakrito Yatha
भगवान् प्रकृतो यथा
Saha
Saha
He,
He,
the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Esha,
Esaha,
all these,
on the
Naraloke,
Naraloke,
on this planet
on this planet
of human beings,
of human beings,
Asmin,
Asmin,
on this,
on this,
Avatirnaha,
Avatirnaha,
having appeared,
having appeared,
Sva,
Swa,
personal,
personal,
internal,
internal,
Mayaya,
Mayaya,
causeless mercy,
causeless mercy,
Reme,
Reme,
enjoyed,
enjoyed,
Sri Ratna,
Sri Radha,
woman who is competent
and who is competent
to become a wife of the Lord,
to become the wife of the Lord,
Kutastaha,
Kutastaha,
among
among
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
the personality of Godhead,
the personality of Godhead,
Prakritaha,
Prakritraha,
mundane,
mundane,
Yatha,
Yatha,
as if it were.
as if it were.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Sri Prabhupada ki. That Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Sri Krishna, out of his causeless mercy appeared on this planet by his internal potency and enjoyed himself amongst competent women as if he were engaging in mundane affairs. Kindly repeat after me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead,
The Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Sri Krishna,
Sri Krishna,
out of his causeless mercy,
out of his causeless mercy,
appeared on this planet
appeared on this planet
by his internal potency
by his internal potency
and enjoyed himself
and enjoyed himself
amongst competent women
among competent women
as if he were engaging
as if he was engaging
in mundane affairs.
in mundane affairs.
Purport. The Lord married and lived like a householder. This is certainly like a mundane affair, but when we learn that he married 16,108 wives and lived with them separately, that's in italics to underline or stress this point, in each and every palace, certainly it is not mundane. Therefore, the Lord, living as a householder amongst his competent wives, is never mundane, and his behavior with them is never to be understood as mundane sex relation. The women who became the wives of the Lord are certainly not ordinary women, because to get the Lord as one's husband is the result of many millions of births, tapasya, austerity. When the Lord appears on different lokas or planets, or on this planet of human beings, he displays his transcendental pastimes just to attract the conditioned souls to become his eternal servitors, friends, parents, and lovers, respectively, in the transcendental world, where the Lord eternally reciprocates such exchanges of service. A service is pervertedly represented in the material world and broken untimely, resulting in sad experiences known as broken hearts. Broken hearts. The illusioned living being, conditioned by material nature, cannot understand, out of ignorance, that all our relations here in the mundane world are, are temporary and full of inebrities. What's another word for inebrities? Inebrities. Look it up in the dictionary. Inebrities means what is irregular, what is bringing sadness, inebrities. Did you look it up?
No. No data.
Kali, you have to repeat, you know.
Yes.
Look it up.
My network is not working. No mobile network.
No mobile internet. So how is this going on?
PDF.
Video.
PDF.
Huh?
PDF. Document. Pre-download document.
No, how is this being recorded?
By Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi only work here, not here.
Okay, I won't argue that, but so come here. Inebrities. Okay. Such relations cannot help us be happy perpetually. But if the same relation is established with the Lord, then we are transferred to the transcendental world after leaving this material body and become eternally related with Him in the relation we desire. The women amongst whom he lived as their husband are not therefore women of this mundane world, but are eternally related with him as transcendental wives, a position which they attained by perfection of devotional service. That is their competency. The Lord is Param Brahma, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Conditioned souls seek after perpetual happiness in all places, not only on this earth, but also on other planets throughout the universe. And because constitutionally, a spiritual spark, as he is, can travel to any part of God's creation. But being conditioned by the material modes, he tries to travel in space by spacecraft and so fails to reach his destination. The law of gravitation is binding upon him like the shackles of a prisoner. By other processes, he can reach anywhere, but even if he reaches the highest planet, he cannot attain that perpetual happiness for which he is searching life after life. When he comes to his senses, however, he seeks after Brahman happiness, knowing it for certain that unlimited happiness, which he is seeking, is never attainable in the material world. As such, the Supreme Being, Parabrahman, certainly does not seek his happiness anywhere in the material world, nor can his paraphernalia of happiness be found in the material world. He is not impersonal. Because he is the leader and supreme being amongst innumerable living beings, he cannot be impersonal. He is exactly like us, and he has all the propensities of an individual living being in fullness. He marries exactly like us, But his marriage is neither mundane nor limited by our experience in the conditioned state. His wives, therefore, appear like mundane women, but factually they are all transcendental, liberated souls, perfect manifestations of internal energy. Translation again. That supreme, excuse me, that supreme personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, appeared on this planet by his internal potency and enjoyed himself amongst competent women as if he were engaging in mundane affairs. So the pastimes of the Lord, whether in Vrindavan, in Mathura, or in Dvārakā, they are all divyam, isn't it? Transcendental, because the Lord by nature, by definition, is transcendental, and he never becomes mundane. He never becomes material. Living entity is also transcendental, but the nature of the jiva, the living entity, is that he can come in contact or can come under the influence of the modes of material nature and therefore accepts a material body. But whether it is the Lord or the jiva, the same activity of seeking happiness. Happiness actually is especially meant to be experienced in relationships. Therefore, we see how in Vrindavan the Lord is engaged in all types of relationships with all the residents of Vrindavan. He's also in relationship, loving relationship with with the cows of Vrindavan, with the various other living entities. The pastimes of Vrindavan especially are meant to awaken or arouse relationship, transcendental relationship. All of the activities of the Lord are transcendental, as Krishna confirms in the Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma samid divyam. And the perfection of life is to actually understand this reality that there is that supreme personality of Godhead known as Krishna, who enacts his eternal pastimes when he descends in the material world to attract us, to attract the living entities, to re-establish such eternal, transcendental, spiritual, eternal relationships, which is what all of us are actually seeking. And unless we come to that point or position, we will naturally feel like something is missing, isn't it? So the Lord is therefore, out of his causeless mercy, giving us a glimpse whether it is in Vrindavan or in Mathura or Dvārakā. He's giving us a glimpse of what is eternally taking place in the spiritual world. And that is, of course, on the basis of service, on the basis of bhakti, on the basis of devotion. So the essence, for all of us, for all living entities, is this Krishna bhakti. Krishna bhakti nitya siddha. Sadhya kabunoy sravanadi sudachite kara e uday. Nitya siddha. It is our eternal, what is it? Quality, perfection. The perfection, actual perfection of every jiva, every living entity is this manifestation of bhakti, the essence of which is seva, devotional service. So in Dvārakā, of course, the Lord, he displays another type of madhurya rasa. That's a very deep subject matter. In Dvārakā, there is one type of madhurya rasa. In Vrindavan, there's another type of madhurya rasa. And our acharyas explain how, oh my God, the Vedic culture, no? Yes, or at least something like this. If we yawn without making a sound or without covering, then it's dangerous. Why is dangerous? Yes.
And they take the result of
Yes. There are many living entities who are not embodied, who have been punished. Every living entity actually needs some kind of facility to express feelings and emotions. So those who are actually going against the laws of dharma, just like we are meant according to the karma to live so many years in different bodies that we get, and due to sinful activities, if we shorten that, then we are, let's say if we shorten our lives by 5 years or whatever, then 5 years we are not eligible. So there are many living entities who are not eligible, and they look around for people who are yawning without covering their face, and they enter in that way. And then it becomes a problem. Yeah. Everything is arranged in a very scientific way, actually, because it's Krishna's arrangement. And when we don't know many of these things, naturally we commit mistakes or we commit sinful activities for which actually we have to suffer. Yes.
and it is not inspiring for the speaker. Looks like
Yeah, right. I mean, like it's like
it's okay.
close the book.
The yawning, but you have to serve the speaker with an enthusiastic
Yeah.
listening.
If you go like this, or if you go like,
Stand up and move a little bit.
it's like what a boring class. The guy's boring. Yeah, right. Yes, it's like relationship. Actually, a class is like a relationship. If I don't see some kind of reciprocation. Reciprocation comes in the form of being awake to begin with.
Minimum.
Because when you're sleeping, you can't reciprocate very much, isn't it? When we are awake, we can reciprocate, and when we're sitting straight, we have more chances of being awake, alert. And sometimes we have to go like this, yeah, to just get the body kind of, yes. Uh, so it's all about relationship, isn't it? We cannot live without relationship. Relationship, what causes relationship, or what creates, or what facilitates relationship? Attraction. Attraction, isn't it? Uh, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur speaks about sex psychology as being the source of attraction, and therefore Krishna, he is the source of that sex attraction, because Krishna is all attractive. And he manifests this in so many different ways through rasa. Through rasa. Rasa means attraction, actually. Rasa means relationship. And there are different expressions of, of love, different levels of relationship, which are all displayed as in the material world, but not in their pure form. But Krishna, when he comes, he shows us the pure, fully, completely pure, transcendental relationships that are a constant source of happiness, of enthusiasm, of ever expanding. In the purport we read a few days ago, newness, if I can use that term. New and new. New is an adjective. What's the word for new? The noun. Anyways, newness. What is new? Fresh. Fresh. Yes. Krishna consciousness, and it's just like when two people are in love, it's like they are constantly interacting with one another. You see this in movies. You shouldn't see this in movies. But Maharaj has encouraged us to see movies about people in love. But yeah, why people go to movies? Because they're attracted to see interaction, isn't it? Interaction, interrelationship, the basis of which is sex attraction, isn't it? And Prabhupada explains how actually we are meant to come to that level of spontaneously displaying or manifesting this transcendental sex attraction, because bhakti, actually the essence of bhakti is this original sex attraction. And sometimes as devotees, we sometimes prematurely want to come to that spontaneous attraction that is described actually by Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar Devotion. That's spontaneous, which is actually on the level of bhava bhakti and prema bhakti. But we cannot force it. In the same way, Prabhupada given us a wonderful example. In the same way, you cannot force or artificially create sex attraction in a small boy. Of course, nowadays they are finding out that because of all kinds of bad association and exposure and whatnot, that tendency actually develops nowadays at an earlier stage or earlier age, but which is not natural. when one lives in a natural environment with responsible parents and with the basic understanding of what is the purpose of life, etc., by good association, at a certain point, biologically, sex attraction will be there. When does that happen? Huh? When does sex attraction develop in the body? At what age? At the age of 5, 3, 7, 25?
12.
Approximately, yes. Means adolescence. The body biologically develops. When the body develops to a certain point, that's why in Vedic culture, Prabhupada makes that very wonderful statement. That is why in the Vedic culture, a young girl, before reaching the urge of sex attraction, which is before reaching the age of puberty, which is the early adolescent years, 13 is the teen years. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 7 years. 7 years is the age of adolescence, where actually sex life is begins, arouses, and becomes very strong. So Prabhupada explains how in the Vedic culture, because it's a natural phenomenon that takes place in both boys, actually it happens later. Girls happens earlier. Therefore, young girls, that was the system, are meant to be married. Not that they live immediately with the husband, but the arrangement that, okay, this young girl will be married to this young boy, and vice versa, at a young age. And so in other words, there's a whole psychology, which in modern day society, we are not addressing properly. So this purport describing Lord Krishna's activities in Dvārakā is meant to help us think and understand this subject matter of what seems to be for Krishna same activities as us, isn't it? He marries, he has interaction with his wives, but he marries more than one wife, and he marries the largest number of wives that is recorded in history, 16,108 wives. Huh?
Chitraketu have 100 millions wives.
Is it?
Yeah. According to the number, of course, Krishna have more wives. It is not recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam, for example. Other places is not.
Okay.
Anyway, but
Yeah, right.
is yours.
Well, the unique feature, as Prabhupada, he underlines actually in the Bhagavatam, that for all of these wives to whom Krishna was married, and this was noted by Narada Muni especially, he was performing different activities. He was living with them separately, individually, personally, and he was interacting different. Prabhupada points out, we were telling the other day, a yogi can expand himself in a very limited, 8 or 10 times. Prabhupada mentioned, I had heard 8 times, but then in the purport a few days back mentioned 10 times. Anyways, 8 to 10 times. But he can only do the same activity. It's like it's like on the television. You can have like 5 televisions in the same movie, the same activities. So that's a limited, shakti of a yogi. But Krishna, he is Yogeshwara. He is the master of all yogis, isn't it? And therefore, that is mentioned, yeah, in the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna displays what may seem to be mundane, but as Krishna also warns means instructs in the Bhagavad Gita, avajanantimam mudham manushim tanuvasritam. Only persons who are ignorant think or conclude that I have assumed an ordinary material body and that I'm engaged in ordinary mundane activities. Avajanantimam mudham manushim tanuvasritam param bhavam ajananto. My param bhava, my supreme position, my transcendental position, people don't know, don't understand. So that is what we can begin to get some understanding of the Lord's transcendental position. He plays the role perfectly of a human being, and as explained actually, like in the Bible, we, the jiva, the living entities, human beings, we are created at the à l'image et à la ressemblance de Dieu. À l'image et la ressemblance. At the image and the resemblance, I guess. We are created like the Lord, because the Lord eternally manifests and has this human-like form, but transcendental, and the source of pleasure and happiness is constantly, intensely, and increasingly intensely manifest in the spiritual world, something that we can also begin to get a glimpse of in the material world if we, as mentioned also, take to the Daivi Prakriti, internal energy of the Lord. We are otherwise caught up in the external energy of Maya, which is a cause of suffering for the living entities. So in other words, we have to change our position from being unconscious, or that's what Krishna consciousness is all about. Yeah, from unconsciousness, from ignorance, from tamagun to above. Something burning? Maybe inside. We have to become on fire. We have become fired up,
Yes.
as they say. Yeah, fired up in Krishna consciousness. The devotees in the early days were like really fired up to do book distribution, fired up to preach to people, fired up to open temples, fired up. Isn't it? I mean, when we watch some of those early, your head is so heavy. When we get a chance to watch some of those early documentaries or videos of devotees in the early days, devotees like were on fire. And whoever they came on contact with, they also became on fire. Yeah. So, yeah, to be awakened means to be conscious, alert, and enthusiastic, especially enthusiasm. Prabhupada says, because I was enthusiastic in my old age, I left Vrindavan. So enthusiasm, utsaha, as mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami. So the trick is how to create and how to maintain enthusiasm. That's the challenge, because we're surrounded by unenthusiastic people.
Yes. Only that. Only answer.
I mean, the karmis are not enthusiastic. They're enthusiastic about the wrong things. But sometimes also, if devotees are also sometimes, very often, too often, not sufficiently enthusiastic. Or they'll be enthusiastic.
Yeah.
It's like, a steady enthusiasm wins the race. Yeah. Mm. You don't believe. Believe, huh? You're a believer.
Joy.
Jai. Yeah. So, any additional thoughts on this?
Yes.
Should not think about that.
Yes.
No. Should think about this.
It's a very new topic. It is difficult to digest. Why you don't have comment or thought or question?
Okay.
You talked about that girls should get married before
You should be engaged.
engaged.
Yes.
Marriage till 12, 13 years old.
Before the age of puberty.
Puberty.
Yeah, that is Vedic culture.
And man also, boy.
The young boy, he should be his intensity for sex attraction will come a little later. So if the young girl is meant to be engaged, so she's meant to be engaged with a young boy who will be generally older, a good number of years older, maybe 5 years older than the
But he's
girl.
asking the boy also should be engaged or have a plan before he reach the
No,
puberty
no,
or after.
yeah, okay.
Because, for example, in Kazakhstan, it was also tradition that girl and boy that engage in marriage before 12 or 13. Boy and girl the same.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So, I think maybe it's from Vedic culture.
See, that was there in Kazakhstan, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. How about Africa?
Yeah.
Huh?
Parents discuss, but
The
they-
parent, yeah. No, but I mean the age factor,
Yeah,
Wait.
it's the same.
similar. Huh?
Yeah. That
You see.
But now the modern.
And now, forget about now. Now is completely broken, vanished, of course. But there's a whole psychology there.
My mom was also married in the class 5.
Your mother was married at the age of?
In class 5.
In
age
class
of
5.
yeah,
So that means 12,
12.
approximately.
And my father in class 10.
Class 10. Class 10, that means 15.
5 years more.
Right there. Yeah,
Older.
older.
But only marriage happens. My mom not go to my father's
Yeah.
till the age of 18.
Yeah,
That's natural.
right. Yeah. Prabhupada speaks about this in a number of places. He mentions how marriage arrangement was there, but they would not live immediately together. But because there was no relationship was not yet actually established, and the parents of the young girl, for example, they would arrange that she go and do some cooking for him, or render some kind of service like that under supervision. Yeah, because it's a different, as they say, it's a different take. It's a different understanding. Uh, it's not, you know the story about Srila Prabhupada uh, when when arrangement was made for his marriage, right? Prabhupada was a little older than his wife to be, and then when Prabhupada came to know, Abai Charandev, when he came to know his father, uh, after some time, could understand that Abai was making plans to marry a second wife. You know about that, no? Prabhupada was planning to get for another girl. So one day, his father called him, sit down, young man. He says, I know that you are making plans for a second marriage, but my suggestion is that you should forget about that. You should try to understand that because you're not attracted to your wife, this is very good. Because when Vanaprastha time comes, you'll be able to more easily give up that attachment. Nowadays, people get married simply on bodily attraction, largely, isn't it? Wife is beautiful, or she's intelligent, or she has money, or whatever. Something material. And when that is no longer there, and of course, the whole thing is based on mutual self-satisfaction. Generally, the sex life, if I can be satisfied sexually and vice versa, then that is what is binding people together, largely. So in the Vedic culture, it's like it's a different understanding. Not that one will not have some feeling and affection, but it will, here's the difference. In the Vedic culture, husband and wife, young boy, young girl, they know that marriage is for only a certain period of time. Then after that, we will take, there's a Vedic system, Varnashrama system, we will take Vanaprastha and we will pursue our primary goal and objective of life is to become self-realized. In the Western culture, people fall in love and we will live eternally, forever and ever. My true love.
Yeah, and there is a marriage in 50 age of before, after the first marriage.
Yes.
And they go to the honeymoon.
Yeah, honeymoon. What do you call it? Honeymoon.
Yeah, honeymoon.
Honeymoon. It's
People are
60 or
constantly,
70.
yeah,
What kind of honeymoon is that?
people are falling in love and falling out of love. That's the problem. And falling more out of love than falling in love. But love, yeah, because we don't have proper understanding of what is love. Love that is not connected with Krishna, with God, is a mundane attraction, which will fade away as the body fades away, as the body, dwindling stage of life, yeah, which nowadays happens earlier. People start to have gray hair at an earlier age, or the hair just disappears at an earlier age also, yeah. The bodily, it's all there in the Bhagavatam also, the bodily strength and the bodily, the beauty and whatnot is increasingly decreasing. More and more decreasing. Yeah. And yeah, I think that was covered in one of the classes that was given by Prahlad Prajapati Prabhu about the prana, the yoja, which is which is the semen. Unless one learns to keep one's semen, then one's whole bodily constitution, biological constitution, at an earlier age begins to deteriorate. And that's why I remember some years back visiting one of our devotees. She was actually my disciple, elderly lady from India, and that was in Montreal. And I had gone to see her. She was in her last days. And in old age homes, modern day society, they've invented old age homes. And so many of these elderly people, they suffer from what is called, what's the word, the noun? Senile. Senile means they forget. They revert to being children practically. They cannot recognize even some of their relatives. Prabhupada was 81. He was, totally alert and conscious. So the Vedic culture, when one follows through samskara, isn't it? That's why the samskaras are there, beginning with the Garbhadhana samskara. If so, a symptom of Kali Yuga is people, of course, outside of the Vedic culture, have absolutely no idea about Varna samskara, and even those who know about the Vedic culture or possibly were born within the Vedic culture, most of them not following Varna samskara. Therefore, the progeny is becoming weaker and weaker. And it's it's a huge challenge to revert that on a significant scale that will actually make a difference in society. And that's part of the challenge that we have individually, especially those who enter into marriage life, and collectively as a society, to make that introduce those teachings, that understanding, on a global scale. Yeah. Yes.
My question is that very sure that in all sampradaya, we are reading these topics, but we are not really teaching or giving instruction for going to that direction, that becoming one of the Dvārakā. But is it general? Yes, but it's not like we are forbidden that, but it is just we don't have acharyas who speak about it.
So you're saying that we read about this in the Bhagavatam, but we're not teaching about becoming Dvārakā Vasis.
Yeah, it's not. I didn't find it.
In which sense, Dvārakā Vasis?
I mean, it's becoming a queen, one of the maid servant of a queen of Krishna, Dvārakā. Someone like that.
You mean like
Attracted
more than one wife? Not that.
I mean, becoming a servant of Dvārakā Krishna.
Or becoming a servant of Dvārakā Krishna.
Like becoming a soldier to him, or becoming a friend of him, or advisor like that, or servant of queens like that.
Well, I would say that this aspect of Dvārakā Lila will become more a reality for us, more real, when we introduce the Kshatriya dimension within our society. So what you're saying is correct. We're not talking about this very much because we have we have yet to understand the need and the importance to actually train kshatriyas. And kshatriyas, once we have kshatriyas, and Prabhupada many times explained Krishna consciousness, part of Krishna consciousness, important part of Krishna consciousness is to introduce not only Brahmana culture, but actually Brahmana culture is meant to also include Kshatriya culture. And Kshatriya culture is meant to include Vaishya culture. And Vaishya culture is meant to include also Shudra culture. Because Brahmana culture, Kshatriya culture, Vaishya culture will not function unless there are persons who are trained actually to become good servants. Ultimately, everyone is a servant. So this is like a very crucial and what is it? Missing link, missing element within our society. Not because we're not sufficiently understanding about varnashrama. We're not. It's not seen as a priority. That actually, if we want to organize society properly and on a large scale, giving maximum opportunity to the maximum number of people, then we have to introduce this social system called varnashrama. Although it may seem like, how is it possible? But I mean, that's Krishna's system. And what we see, the descriptions of Dvārakā, because now we're in this section about Krishna entering Dvārakā, will become more real, more of a reality for us once we actually accept and act on that aspect of varnashrama dharma by creating villages where there will be leaders who will be of a kshatriya nature and building up eventually to having monarchy. Now again, nowadays we if we promote monarchy, most people cannot relate to that because of the bad experiences and bad examples that, I mean, the whole monarchy was dismantled just a few hundred years ago because of abuse and exploitation on the part of those who were in positions of leadership. So therefore, the solution is not to just throw out monarchy. The solution is to actually train qualified individuals who will be ideal kings, ideal leaders in society. And that's all explained, of course, in the Bhagavatam. Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Sri Prabhupada ki, Kavodati Manande.
Hari Hari Om. Jai.